Welcome back to BullyBall, a 49er podcast. My name is Joseph Almendarez, and today we have special guest on with us, Kevin Dandino from Orange Weekly Podcast. He's joining us to talk about the 49ers versus the Broncos on Sunday night. How's it going today, sir?
Man, it is going great. Football is here. It's already going by really fast. I mean, it feels like we were just like 2 days ago being excited about the first preseason game. And I'm like, it's week 3 already. Like, what is happening, right? So, football's here. The weather's starting to turn slowly out here in Colorado, and I'm happy. Things are good.
Yeah, I bet. Do you enjoy the snow, being out there in Colorado?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm Colorado native. The snow is that's where I'm supposed to be. So I lived in the South for a few years when I was in the Air Force, and I just could not deal with the weather down there. I don't know
Yeah,
how people in California or the South in general do it. I mean, if it's Christmas and I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts and flip flops, something is wrong. You know.
agreed. Yeah, I'm in the Air Force right now and I'm in
Okay.
Florida. So I'm dealing with
Nice.
that right now.
Yep. Yep. Now I feel you there, man.
Yes, sir. So let's go ahead and hop right in. So we got this Sunday night primetime matchup, San
Yeah.
Francisco 49ers and Denver Broncos. Both teams kind of off to a rocky start, some ups, some downs. Common opponent, the Seattle Seahawks. But
Mm-hmm.
those games were vastly different.
Yep.
So could you give us a little breakdown of like what you've seen so far from this Broncos
Mm.
team?
It's tough because we've seen a lot. Um, and that comes, I think, from there's been so much turnover and change in the organization just over this last year. And then if you want to look back 2 years and you include the GM being a brand new GM in all of this as well. So in 2 years, we have brand new owners, brand new GM, brand new head coach, new quarterback to the team, right? And the coaching staff is all very young for the majority. Several first time coordinators and assistants. So there's a lot going on here. Our number one running back is in his second year. I mean, there's youth on the team here as well. So we're seeing a lot happening very rapidly, and I think it's tough to decipher what's going on because I think a lot of people just like to look at what's going on the field during the game and judge everything based off of just that. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and obviously we would like to have seen things be better from our performance both in game 1 and game 2. But there's a lot of positive things that we've seen as well that kind of get masked in that first week loss and then still having a really crummy performance in week 2. So the big thing is the fact that our offense is at least able to move the ball somewhat consistently, and that's something we haven't seen for several years, 5, 6, years at least.
Yeah.
So something like that. The defense is kind of is starting to pick up speed. They're picking up momentum. Players like Randy Gregory, who people were questioning, like, was that a good trade or not? In 2 weeks has already started to come around and make really good plays. So there's a lot for this team to work on and improve on, and it's going to take a while. But in the meantime, there's a lot of positive things that if they continue to build off of that, this team can get going in a hurry. So
I like that. Yeah, and that's one thing that I had thought as well going into this matchup. Both teams 1-1. Both teams won really bad game the first week. Both teams kind of beat themselves, right, in that
yeah,
first game.
and
And
that's a
then
week
second,
one. Yeah,
yeah. And then, second week kind of bounced back. And then now you have the primetime matchup where it's kind of going to show the league, you know, one of these teams or both are legit contenders this year.
yeah,
So I think it should be a good game. So let's talk about your head coach,
yeah.
Nathaniel Hackett. I believe he is a disciple from the Shanahan tree, correct?
Yes, correct.
So what should we expect from the offense, coming from that Shanahan scheme?
See, that's a interesting question because when I've heard other people talk about this as well, the thing that I hear, especially from Seahawk fans or people who are maybe not just Denver focused, but NFL wide focused, at some point they all talk about things becoming Russ's scheme, not
Yeah.
head coaches. So it's tough for me to sit here and say, here's what we can expect based off the Shanahan offense. Probably, very heavy run game, a lot of play action, things like that, right? Or whatever the case is. But at what point is this going to become Russell Wilson's show? Where maybe the head coach calls out a play or two, a play, or maybe calls out two and says, hey, you decide, or hey, here's what I'm thinking, but you make the decision at the line based off what you're seeing, right? So I think they're still in a weird, they're both trying to show each other respect. Russ isn't going to go out there and immediately take over, right? He's still trying to learn this offense as well. Hackett wants to respect Russ and give him some freedoms, but he's trying to instill his offense while learning how to be a head coach. So it's tough to say, man. But I think for the time being, what you can expect, which we haven't necessarily seen the first two games, is a very even split between the run game and the pass game, and we'll see if that is something that manifests this week. If you followed anything that's happened in the first two games, we like to get down to within the 5-yard line and then throw it 3 times in a row and it not work, right? Or if we do go for a run, it's out of the shotgun formation. There's like no I formation power runs on the 1-yard line, which has us all scratching our heads. Like what we were thinking week 1, okay, that was a weird fluke. They'll figure it out by week 2. And then week 2 came around, still no changes. And so now we're sitting here going, what is happening here? So dude, I don't know. It's tough to answer that question because there's what we can expect, there's what we have seen, and then there's what we probably will see, which is who knows. So
Yeah, you kind of answered one of my questions. I was going to say, it looks like this team is, they're moving the ball easily, between the 20s, and then they get into the 20-yard line red zone, and it's like, I don't know, something's happening. Yeah.
Play calling. You could say play calling, but I gotta say, like, these guys are NFL coaches and players. Like, there's got to be a reason they're throwing 80 to 90% of the time when they're in, within the, goal to go.
Yeah.
There's got to be a reason, but nobody really has any good answer. It's a lot of, we have no idea what they're doing. And so, dude, I don't know.
It's funny too, because you have, Javonte Williams, who awesome back. But then they also want to put Melvin Gordon in on the goal line situations as well. Kind of confusing to me, but
you're not alone. You are not alone, good sir.
So the 49ers, they know Russell Wilson. They've played him plenty of times and lost to him plenty of times over the past, 10 years or so. But this Broncos team also did sign a couple 49ers over the offseason. We had DJ Jones, Kawan Williams, and then I believe it might have been last year they picked up the linebacker. I forget his name. Jonas Griffith, I think. How are those guys playing, and what should 49ers expect to see from them?
No, I think, they can expect to see what they'd expect to see from anyone else. It's the first time those guys are playing their team. So, you can expect them to maybe have a little extra motivation. Hey, I want to go out there and beat my former team, not in a mean or malicious way, but it's nice to be able to try and get to the point where you've beaten every team in the NFL. So
Yeah.
Which is obviously a very rare thing to do, but you can at least say, I played on that team and I beat that team. So they've been playing very well. Quan Williams, we've heard his name a lot. Jonas Griffith has been lights out for us. Like, he's been phenomenal. DJ Jones. We have several Joneses on our defensive line. And so it's you just hear Jones a lot in the last few games, That's like trying to figure out which Jones it is. So, but so playing well. I think they're good pickups for the Broncos. That's kind of where I stand, at least what I'm thinking.
Nice. Yeah. So, we see this Broncos team is kind of dealing with a lot of injuries right now. Who can we expect to play this week, and who's looking like they're kind of trending down?
So thankfully, nobody seems to be trending down. Thankfully for us, maybe not so much for you guys. Right. We got very, very, very good news with Jerry Jeudy and Pat Surtain, PS2. Initially, people were thinking, this could be something that has them out anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, without actually knowing what the diagnosis was. Come to find out, they're day to day. And to me, that I have no idea what that means. You listen to the coach, and the coach has, perfected coach speak. And so it's very vague, but specific, but not at the same time, and so the big thing, Jerry Jeudy and PS2, it's going to be tough. Last week you saw us really lean on Cortland Sutton once Jerry Jeudy went down. And that was also because KJ Hamler was out as a precautionary move as part of his recovery. It was always planned for him to play in the first game, not play in the second game. So it's not like he got injured again or had any setback. But once Jerry Jeudy went down, we lost our number 2 and number 3 wide receivers. We lost our number 3 before the game with Hamler's decision, and then number 2 when Jeudy went down. So Hamler will be back. And what I'm getting with that is I would not be surprised if Jerry Jeudy does not play as a precautionary, let's be overly, kind of what you saw with KJ Hamler. Let's bring these guys back slowly, carefully, and make sure we don't lose them for another extended period of time. Right.
Yeah.
So with that, not expecting to see Jerry Jeudy. KJ Hamler will be there, and that's going to really open up that deep threat, right? And give you guys some problems, I think, between trying to cover him and Cortland Sutton. Our guard, Quinn Miners, is doubtful. I can't remember what injury he has, but that's the one that's kind of a big hurt to us on the offensive line. Cam Fleming has played well, and expecting him to be in that position again while Miners is out. But Miners has been it's the second year. He did really well in his rookie year, and expecting him to do well again this year. But the good thing is, while Billy Turner, the guard we got from Green Bay, and Josie Jewell, our inside linebacker, are both questionable, it looks like they're probably at the very least, Billy Turner will be in the game. Would not be surprised if Josie Jewell is there as well. Awesome. And then lastly, Pat Surtain, PS2 here. The only reason I could see them, I wouldn't say rush him back in, but not be as cautious with him as they would be with Jerry Jeudy, is because Justin Simmons is out for at least another 3 weeks with his injury. So there's maybe a little bit more of a need there, for, hey, we could really use you, especially against Debo, right? And I want to hear more about what you guys are hearing and things like that and what you're expecting to see. But yeah, I would not be surprised if you see PS2, but not Jerry Jeudy. So we're going to be fairly healthy for the game. We're not missing too many people, but it's one of those things like that's my educated guess. I could be way off, and all these guys are out.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, awesome. So what was your question that you had?
Yeah, so kind of same thing to you. Injury wise, what do you guys have? I know Kittle is probably the big one, but what are you guys expecting?
Yeah, so the huge one, 49ers lost quarterback Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Season-ending injury, unfortunately, against the Seahawks. Um, they expect to get George Kittle back this week. He did practice today. He was limited. First time he's practiced on Wednesday in the past couple weeks. He was kind of a game time decision last week, and they decided, hey, we're going to sit you. You'll be back next week. So he should be good to go. Couple injuries. Today at practice, D-line Eric Armstead, he had a foot injury. They're saying it's nothing major. He should be playing in the game. Second string running back Tyrion Davis-Price, he had a high ankle sprain in the game last week, so he's going to be out for a couple weeks. Same with backup tight end Tyler Kroft. He got a knee injury in the game last week. He's out. But other than that, the 49ers lost safety Jimmy Ward before the season. He's on the IR right now. He'll be back hopefully by midseason. But other than that, overall, you're going against a pretty healthy 49er team. And, it's going to be a lot different than what you've seen so far offensively.
Yeah.
Because, Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance are like polar opposites.
Exactly. Yep.
And I'm wondering if there's going to be kind of like a week or two setback where it's like, hey, we're trying to get these guys on the same page. Jimmy G just started practicing with the team the week of the first game. He just got a playbook the week of the first game. So a lot of changes this week coming. But the one thing, like you said, Patrick Surtain, you hope he plays, because Deebo Samuel with Trey Lance, I think, is a Pro Bowl level player, maybe.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel with Jimmy Garoppolo is an all-pro level player just because he's better at getting the ball to Deebo on the short routes and things like that.
Right. No, that makes sense. Look, if Kittle is back, I wouldn't be surprised to definitely see Josie Jewell back at that point, because we did get burned, over the middle a couple times last week. So we've definitely been missing him. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see him there. But you're right. It is something that even Coach Hackett talked about today on his press conference. Somebody asked him about, what he's expecting or what he's seen from Garoppolo versus Trey Lance. And, essentially it was, we weren't going to watch much Trey Lance until this week, and now we don't have to. So the good thing you have with Garoppolo, though, is, while he didn't start practicing until a couple weeks ago, he still knows the system.
Exactly.
It's not a new head coach. It's the same coaching staff. It's the majority of the same players. And so, it might take a little bit for the team to readjust to having Garoppolo around, because, players, the wide receivers have to get on his cadence, on his timing. And, it is tough for those guys to realign themselves. So I wouldn't be surprised if you go out there and the first maybe couple drives, the passing game just isn't there. But I wouldn't be surprised if it picks up, a little bit, just because, Garoppolo does like to drop back. We're not going to have to worry about him running really like we would Trey Lance. But so, I think you guys are in a better position there. We still have a situation where, and this is going to drive me crazy, but Russell Wilson, just in general, one, historically comes out with slow starts. I can get used to that, but he just also historically takes forever to get the ball off.
Yeah.
And we've had 3 or 4 delay of game penalties already in 2 games, right? Like, yeah, it's bad. I'm sure you heard about the fans counting down last week,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And I was at that game, and the South stands just started erupting with 5, 4, 3, and so we're sitting there. It's like, oh, this is embarrassing. Like, hey, the team obviously needs it. I can't fault those guys for yelling it out, but God, this is embarrassing. So, like, it makes me, bite my nails and cringe, bite my teeth, real hard when it gets to 5 seconds and he's just getting to the line. It's like, not the freaking ball. So that if that's just like who he is and what he's done historically, I don't think I'm ever going to get used to that. So, we still have a lot to learn, our quarterback and coaching situation, team situation. There's still just a lot that we're trying to learn. So, you guys have to switch back to Garoppolo. Hopefully for you, not for us. You guys kind of connect, get back on that page fairly quickly, and that's one thing that we got to watch out for our defense. If they want to come out slow, like they kind of have the last couple games, and you guys get going quickly, within the first couple drives, you could run up the score on us. So we got to be careful on defense that we don't let that happen. So that's maybe one of my concerns.
Yeah. And that's one thing is, Jimmy Garoppolo does struggle with keeping a lead. Obviously, everyone saw the Super Bowl.
I don't know what you're talking about. No idea what you're talking about.
The NFC Championship game this past year.
Yeah.
But he does it in normal games as well, where the team will get up and then he makes just a boneheaded mistake where it's like, take a sack or just throw it out of bounds or something. But, I think if I were the Broncos going into this game, I think a baseball analogy would be good here.
Sure.
You have your outfielders sitting deep in the outfield, waiting for the guys to hit the deep ball, right?
Right.
When Jimmy Garoppolo's at quarterback, you move them all up. When the guy can't hit can't hit far.
Move up.
Yeah. You move everyone up. You play the sticks. Man coverage. You get up in their face, and you rush the hell out of Jimmy Garoppolo because he's terrible with pressure in his face. So that's what I would do. You get up on this 49er team with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, it's going to be hard for them to get back into the game because that's his weakness. They like to possess the clock, run the ball, be physical. So with that being said, how would you attack the Broncos offense and defense since kind of like all of the strengths and weaknesses of that team?
That's tough. I would start by saying, for the offense, for, your defense, the Broncos offense, what your defense needs to do, scratch that. All of your team needs to be disciplined. If your team is disciplined, you can probably count on us on getting 6 penalties minimum. We've had basically 12 that were accepted, each of the first 2 games. We're right now the most penalized team in the NFL. At least from what I checked the other day. If we clean up half of our mistakes, we're still going to have about 6 penalties, which is still a lot, which is still not good. I do not expect that to go from 12 to 0 or even 1 or 2. We're probably going to have 6. So if you're disciplined, you're going to really benefit off of that. That's huge. It's going to be tough because we're going to be loud. I'm telling you right now, I'm already planning on losing my voice. I just got my voice back from this last game. It's going to be, Even worse this next week. But we're going to make it loud. We're going to make it tough. If you guys are just disciplined, you'll be okay. Or at least have a better chance.
Yeah.
The other thing, you've got to find a way to stop our run. Both Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams are averaging right around 6 yards a carry over the 2 games, which is phenomenal for a running back to have that, let alone 2 running backs on the team to have that.
Definitely.
So you have got to find a way to not stop just one of them. You have to find a way to stop both of them, because we will go to the one that has the high hand, and we'll give him, majority of the touches. The thing that this team, I don't know, again, going back to, there's got to be a reason why the coaching staff hasn't done this, but we know Russell Wilson does better when he has a strong run game, because, again, it opens up the RPOs, the deep passes, and while he's still trying to get on the same page with like KJ Hamler and Cortland Sutton on those deep passes, they are getting better. We play by play, they're getting closer, they're getting better, they're getting more consistent. So, just you got to find a way to stop the run and then force us into those long throws. If you stop the run, you're going to mess up Wilson. You're going to cause us to throw the ball 40 plus times in the game, which is never ideal. And it's going to put us in a bad position. Not in a position where we don't have a chance, but it's going to make it a whole lot more difficult. So that's what I think. For our defense, the only weakness we really have is over the middle. And if Josie Jewell is back, that's still the weaker area, but it's not nearly as weak. Caden Stearns is standing in as a starter for Justin Simmons here, but he played really well last week. He came out before the game and said, "I want you all to know that I am ready." And he went out and he proved it. He had like one blown coverage, but then he went out like just a couple plays later and had a great pass breakup. So if you wanted to try to pick on him, see if you can get in his that early, maybe. But otherwise, you're probably going to be relying on Kittle, your own run game. Probably have to rely on your run game, because I'll tell you what, the Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory combination is really starting to light fire. So if you get in those third and long situations where you have to pass, and what we've seen from our offensive or defensive coordinator so far is that we like to rush on third and passing downs, that's going to be a problem for you. So don't get there. Anyway, so that's kind of what I see from the Bronco, like what you would need to do against us or plan against us. So
awesome. Yeah. I was going to ask you a couple questions that you answered with that answer, so that's good.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, I feel like I know I'm rambling and I'm giving like way too long of an answer from what you asked. So I was like, I hope that I'm answering something else along the way.
Oh no, yeah, you were answering a bunch, yeah.
Yes.
But it's that's one thing that I thought would be a problem in this game as well, is the pass rush, because obviously the 49ers have Trent Williams, great tackle, but then they have Mike McGlinchey, who tore his quad last year. He was injured in the preseason, and he's struggled a bit early on. So, it's gonna be tough, especially since Garoppolo can't really move in the pocket. That's a key area for the Broncos to exploit on this O-line. The interior is young. You have second-year player Aaron Banks. This is his first year starting. You have Spencer Burford, who's a rookie at right guard, and you have Jake Brendel, who's a 30-year-old veteran, first year starting though. But they've played well so far. So I would definitely look at that Mike McGlinchey at the right tackle spot as the key to attack on that O-line.
Okay.
So you had talked about the Justin Simmons injury, and you said Caden Stearns. How has the team, has anything changed since that injury happened? Like, have they started running different coverages or anything?
No, I don't think so. Not from what I saw anyway, and nothing that I picked up on listening to, the radio and other podcasts and stuff. So things seem to be pretty much the same there. I think that obviously if Stearns had not played well last game and kept getting burnt left and right, then things would probably definitely look different this week.
Yeah.
But it seemed like he handled things pretty well. I'd expect him to play better this week. Not to say that he didn't play well, because obviously I just said that he did. So now I'm talking in circles. So I just it doesn't seem to have been a big impact. Now, obviously, Justin Simmons is a higher caliber player. You're probably going to get, if you keep testing him in a smart fashion, then you're probably going to get one or two by Caden Stearns that you wouldn't have gotten by Justin Simmons. So, but to sit here and say, yeah, just throw to him consistently because he's going to keep, being out of place and blowing his coverage and stuff, that's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
just keep an eye out there, keep putting someone out there deep and see what's happening. And if Garoppolo sees a good look, he'll try it, but I don't think it's going to be too often. So
Yeah. He struggles pushing the ball past 15, 20 yards anyways, so it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
One other thing, I had pulled up a depth chart for the Broncos earlier. Sure. Do you guys have any rookies that are starting on this team?
I'm sure we do. I'm drawing a blank here, though. None there. Maybe we don't. There is question of where to go. Greg Dulcich.
Oh, the tight end.
Tight end. Once he comes back from his injury, probably around week 5, you could see him start to make a push to be a starter in place of Alberto Cuebanam, who really hasn't played well the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Some drop passes. Eric Saubert is our number 2 tight end, and he's the one who had that fantastic touchdown last week. 1, it was a great throw, but 2, it was a great catch, and he had to be just in the right spot, and he was. So, he's not a rookie, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see him move up, and then there'd be a push near the end of the season, possibly for Dulcich to move up there. I don't think you're going to see Montreal Washington start. Again, because we have KJ Hamler coming back this week, but he might be one of the only ones that you would see just due to injury, and he's our return guy.
Okay.
But he flashed a couple times in some other plays last week as well. They put him out there, so this guy is fast. Your special teams needs to watch out for him. Game 1, he definitely had some nerves. You could tell because he looked really good in preseason. I got it. It's preseason, 3rd, 4th stringers out there, people that are not going to make the team, right? He still looked good. Game 1, you could tell he got hit really hard on his first return attempt, like real hard. And after that, you could tell when he got the ball, there was just half a second delay. He just did a little bit of a dance trying to figure out what to do, and that was enough for him to get just lit up time and time again. We saw him look better, more confident this last week. He almost got away from a couple where he could have been just gone. So I would not be surprised if you guys aren't careful that he could get one, and it's just a matter of time. This guy is fast. So when he is on the field in the wide receiver position as well, definitely got to keep an eye on him. I wouldn't be surprised as the season goes along, we give him more and more chances because he was a great pickup. So
awesome. That's a good one to look out for.
Yeah.
All right. So the question that must be asked. What is your prediction for this game, the score of this game?
So the interesting thing is on our show last night, our main shows are on Tuesday nights, and we don't give our score prediction until game day, at least on our podcast. So if any of our fans are listening to this, then they're going to hear mine a little early, I guess. But I was of the mindset that this could be a higher scoring game. After talking to some of the other guys in our crew and gals, there's some thoughts this could be a boring, low scoring game. It could be a very defensive heavy battle. The more I think about it, I don't. Usually with a prediction, I'm like, yeah, here's what this is my guess. I'm going to stick with it. This week, I'm kind of like flip flopping, man. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a high scoring game. A couple hours later, I think about something, I read something, I'm like, oh, that it could be a really defensive game. But I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go. Broncos home field advantage helps out just enough. We clean up things just enough to where it doesn't totally kill us. We're able to punch in a couple more of those touchdowns from the 5-yard line. And the Broncos are going to get 24 to 49ers 20. So
Okay.
that home field advantage is going to come in handy just a little bit this week. So
I like it. My
what about
score.
you? Yeah.
My score prediction is actually very similar. I was saying 24 to 21 49ers. And my reasoning is just because the 49ers defense, I believe, is rated top 3, might be 1 right now in the NFL.
I think they're 1 on Pro Football Focus. Yep.
But also, they haven't been tested. So, this is the time. I could see it flipping also. 24-21, it could be either way for me. It all depends on, like I said, the Jimmy Garoppolo. Is it going to take some time to get that going? So, I could see it either way, 24-21.
Okay.
And then
I think it's going to be close one way or the other, man.
Definitely. We have one more thing we like to do on our channel. We like to give our channel name is BullyBall because the 49ers usually they try to be physical, they try to beat teams up.
Fact.
So, who is your BullyBall player of the week for the Broncos? Who's going to be that guy that's physical and he's the one making the impact physically?
Oh, man, I am going to give. I talked them up during the show tonight, and I'm going to stick with it. Randy Gregory. I think he is going to find his way in the backfield, get at least several QB hits. We've had some strip sacks that just haven't bounced our way. I think he gets one of them, or at least gets one of the balls out so that somebody else can recover it. He just looked better and better. And you got to remember, he pretty much didn't do anything during training camp. It wasn't until after preseason that he started practicing. And so week 1, he played about half as many downs as he would, looked good. Last week looked even better, played even more. This week, I expect him to be even closer to full speed. And he's probably going to be an issue for you guys. So that's I get to see him going out there and balling out, man.
Awesome. Yep. So Randy Gregory is his bully prediction of the week for the Broncos.
I like it.
For the 49ers, my bully of the week will have to be, Talanoa Hufanga. Safety, a guy that most people haven't heard of. He's been playing like an all-pro these past 2 weeks. Second-year player, and he's everywhere, pass breakups, interceptions, in the backfield, tackles for loss.
Right.
And, the 49ers, we thought the safety position was going to be weak with Jimmy Ward going out, but, man, he's just looked insane back there. So that's my bully of the week.
I like it, man. I like it. Yeah, he's definitely someone that we have to watch out for on our end as well, for sure.
Yeah. You have any questions for me before we get off?
No, I think I mean, I think we covered a lot of things, man. But at the end of the day, I do appreciate you having me on. I think it's going to be a good game. Looking forward to see what you guys can do. You know what? There's one thing. I'm sorry that I wanted to bring up and get your take on it as well. Coaching, the coaching battle, you could call it, between Shanahan and Hackett. I didn't factor this into my score prediction because I'm really hoping it doesn't become a factor. But there is a worry of us getting out coached. Not in, I'm not going to sit here and say for sure Hackett is not as good a coach as Kyle Shanahan. We don't know yet. Hackett is still learning and developing and stuff. But what are you thinking and hearing from your side in terms of, maybe how Hackett's doing or any concerns there about, what he might throw your way?
We just heard, the week one, obviously the gaff, with the whole end of the game thing. But he's a young head coach, new to being a head coach. And Kyle Shanahan, I would have said, throw it all out the window, because Kyle Shanahan was coaching uncomfortably with Trey Lance at quarterback. Mm-hmm. The moment Jimmy Garoppolo went back in the game, it seemed like the 49ers offense was back to normal, which sounds weird because Jimmy Garoppolo's limited in a way.
Yeah.
And then you also have to factor in DeMeco Ryans on defense. He was supposed to be the head coach of the Vikings this year, but he turned them down. Great. I
forgot about that.
Great defensive mind as well on that side. So, I think that may play a factor, but I think it's, like you said, I don't think it's going to affect the game at all, really.
Okay.
Like you said, Russell Wilson is the mastermind. Yeah,
exactly. That's true. So, okay. Yeah, that's the only question I had, but no, I do appreciate having you on, and you'll be on our pregame podcast. So, any of our listeners can hear you again. Your listeners can hear you again and our stuff. So, I do ask that when you go, make sure you let them know that the postgame podcast is better and more fun to listen to. Yeah,
definitely.
Postgame, better podcast.
Will do.
Cool, man. No, I appreciate it though.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on.
Anytime.
And good luck in this game Sunday, and good luck on the season.
Same to you, good sir. Same to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Turn it back. Money.